Attention gamers. So Riot just whipped out the Akshan passive on static shift, brought that fan favorite straight back from the grave, but with a twist. The AP scaling on this item will one day be studied in criminal law classes. Add this to the fact that they gave the Bane of Lich a fat buff, and Stormrazor also now scales with AP, and I think we all know what this means will happen. People will lock in a champ like Hagrid's left nut. They'll rush one large rod and then a few minutes later they will buy a second, bringing the count of rods that are needlessly large on their body to 3. They'll then win a bidding war for the Sorting Hat from Hogwarts and then shock the world when their second item is from the ADC, all in this imbalanced metaphorical shop, because with just one real item you'll have 500 AP and your auto attacks will do 800 damage to all targets in your path. This makes you a split-pushing midget menace to rack up more gold until little Lishy finds a new home in your bags. Due to the property of math, you'll find that your auto attacks to a fat 1500 damage, so while your Qs are doing a third of people's health, your autos are doing so much more, and today I'm gonna show how broken this is. But not before I share the story of how my new main became a minion. You see, last week if you would have googled the Red Sea you would have gotten a transcript of my recent match history, which attracted the attention of a company who's in the business of helping players win games. They said, "Oh, you are a weak-minded ADC main, we got you, just choose from one of our top picks for that rank at your role," to which I said, "Nah, I want to play Nico instead." So then they said, "Okay, we will give you 6 different builds that have all proven to be widely successful on that champ, as well as a list of what all the pros have been building on her, and you can import it all into your buggy league client by pushing one button," to which I said, "Nah, I'm gonna go Conqueror instead, because you might think I'm playing Nico, but really I'm playing caster minion number 37. They were like, "Okay, but here is the skill order that Nico should follow," and I said, "You know what, I don't think I'm going to need any of that either." Sure, I could have followed all their tips on how to play this champ correctly, but I was thinking, what do they know about the woes of being a caster minion? And 2 minutes into the game, I successfully outpoked the enemy ADC. And not 20 seconds later, when the first uncoordinated tap dance routine that us silver elo players call an all-in occurred, I committed to wanting this grumpy grandpa, like his name was Timmy Turner, and he just asked me for a wish, which made me the first caster minion in history to get first blood. Yeah, he may have been mocking me, and yeah, I may have later been in a pickle that Facecheck surely would have recommended I use an ability to get out of, but until I see a guide from someone with more experience than me playing as caster minion number 37, I will trust my own instincts instead. Sure, successful Nikos build these items, but successful blue robe babies build noon quivers, and I don't think anyone watching this was gonna argue with these results. Swain may have been littering all chat with his unfunny sarcasm, but I wasn't the one dying, and at the end of the day, I think I was representing for all my little dudes out there that size indeed does not matter. Soon everyone was perplexed by my power. I was flying under the radar, totally undetected in team fights, whipping teeny weeny spitballs at their team's arcane character, and things were going well until the unthinkable happened. I was in an all-out right-click off when my disguise fell off and they all saw who I really was. I simply could not go on. So I figured I would try again, which was when Facecheck said, "Okay, but if you are going to ignore everything else we are offering, at least look at the scouting report that helps you know who will need to get carried and who to look out for," and I have to say they were spot on about this. When I was failing to last hit my peers, he was scoring first bloods. When my support was finding faults in my plan, he was finding fat sacks of cash. By 5 minutes he was on a killing spree, and by the time I discovered firsthand that melee minions aren't great swimmers, he was rampaging. At one point I went up to see the spectacle myself, but I was put in a situation where I would have had to spoil my identity, so I just mourned his death instead. While I was busy displaying so much dodge, so much you'd think all melee minions are first named Durango, he was letting Wild Rift Heralds out of their cage. And even though I was having to apologize just for being me, I knew deep down that this was going to have my back. Side note, Facecheck gives you a post-game report so you can study it and learn about all the ways you can improve, so if you use my link below you can get everything I showed today completely for free.
Rav, that wasn't an ad, that was an embarrassment.
Alright, I'd like to cordially welcome you to the part of the video that at least one basement-dwelling mouth breather with sleep apnea and a chronic case of virginity has linked a timestamp to, claiming this is where the video begins without realizing that the last 3 minutes was some of the better content I've put out because he was too stubborn to hold his breath for 7 seconds at a time when I mentioned a brand. But hey, Some people refuse to eat broccoli cheddar soup because it has veggies in it, and we all know those people are just missing out on cheesy goodness. But anyways, the game starts out and I'd really just like to farm up my queue, but my support would rather get in line for the all-you-can-eat anchor buffet, which starts this game off just how any YouTuber dreams of, with the enemy ADC having 2 kills before the second wave and your support treating team chat like a confessional. But it's all good because the next time she decided to get hooked more than someone who's been hard stuck on a 12-step program for years. We had the entire extended family in town to get an all-inclusive and quite intrusive tour of the rusty submarine that is known to be perishing down here. That said, I'm convinced Thresh's lantern was like a radiation-ridden Chernobyl wasteland or something, because this chick was flat magnetic to anything metal, so my all too familiar role as the bot laner babysitter was starting to take effect, and considering we were getting camped more than a fucking boondocked Winnebago, I was left in some bad situations myself where all I could do was win, fight, button this dumb pirate and then peace out like a hippie. On the next episode of The Price is Right for 600 gold, can you guess which one of these players is going to get hooked? Looks like Lucky the little leprechaun was spot on. It was his dumb as all shit Senna, so while he is focused on keeping her from funding this MF shitty Elizabeth Swan cosplay collection, we will be hard at work making sure that 600 gold reward gets delivered in 2 installments. Anyways, we take a plate and I remember that proper wave management would say I should base here, but I also remember that I'm playing Veigar and this champ is like a backspace button when the cursor is blinking in front of an ADC, so I let her taste the rainbow before firehosing her with the rest of my combo. Nautilus is then left with a choice, but he chooses the red pill, and in this particular case, learning about the intentions of this itty-bitty Irishman was not the right call. All my uncles die in pursuit of taming the fabled turquoise Charizard, and I vow to avenge them until I start acting like Senna, which turns out to be detrimental for me. This MF Mua haha, don't even have to build this 4-leaf clovered cuck the right way and you can still remove little piggies from your sight. But back to the action. I seem to have motivated the metal moron into thinking he can take me on himself, but all he actually was doing was being the last donor to fund my static shiv. At this point I was going to head mid to test some amped up autos, but after this game, the MF decided she was gonna try Veigar next and asked if I could tell her the proper combo once more so she could write it down. Anyways, not to get too sidetracked here, but we were at the very end of the custody agreement over this cute little crab when 2 losers came in claiming they bought the crab's cousin last week and were told it's a package deal, so a little domestic dispute ensued, and with static shiv I can weave some autos into the combos to make all these tall mouth breathers disappear. At this point I'm fed and feeling like I want to test the luck that comes with carrying around a giant 4-leaf clover, and while luck can't fix bad aim, just an auto and an ult has that MF licking salt of her fat bosom, wondering where in Carmen Sandiego's taint all her health went. That said, a move like that has me in a pickle where Kwame wants to slam the 2 doors he carries around into my Lucky Charm, so I put out the Gay Pride Prison, which is a joke about my E being a rainbow, not about Xant's sexual orientation, because I know some angry wokey will be hard at work googling how to get offended at that joke, so just know I'm cool with Riot saying he fucks whatever he wants. But it wasn't gonna be me in that fight. I was more busy clearing waves with a single auto attack. This brings me to the intro where I was in hot pursuit of that grape-stained power plant, and 1Q had him primed and ready to get got by a right click, as he probably thought 700 health was enough to survive an auto, but boy oh boy was he wrong. Then let the record show that I did actually use my abilities on the troll dick right after. Anyways, one more fight breaks out where I see how many dudes can get cotton candied at once as I auto combo the one who looks like he wants more static, and then I let God take a rainbow shit on the other 2 for an awfully disgusting triple kill, which long story short had these bitches tapping the ground like I had them in an anaconda choke. So for those wondering, the finishing items would have been a Nashor's then a Storm Razor, to which point I would have unplugged my keyboard and played solely with the right click button on my mouse, but you know what they say, quitters aren't spitters. Rav out.